Across the country and here in Ohio, fire departments are facing a growing problem. The number of volunteer firefighters is dropping and departments are struggling to attract and keep volunteers. The number of volunteer firefighters hit a low back in 2020. So here with more on this problem, Western Reserve Joint Fire District Chief Chip Comstock. Chip, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So how much worse has the volunteer firefighter shortage become since 2020 when that low was reported?
It continues to drop. I mean, it is a problem locally, it's a problem nationally. And a report done 2 years ago has stated that the risk is that some volunteer departments, it's so bad they may close.
Wow. So how has that number of calls, how much has the number of calls coming into the fire department increased, and how is that affecting the day-by-day?
It's increased as the number of volunteers drop, the number of calls continue to increase, which puts a strain on departments. And part of it is our aging population. The demand for emergency medical services, which fire departments provide, has increased as our population ages, particularly locally here in Mahoney County.
And so as we all know, fire departments respond to more than just fires. What kind of calls are you guys handling now?
Probably 70 to 80% of the calls we do are emergency medical services and structure fires, technical rescue, hazmat, dealing with the chemicals that go through our communities every day. So we're asked to do everything, including still rescuing cats and trees.
And then I want to touch on funding and equipment costs. How hard is that on some of these departments?
The cost of a new fire engine has gone from $50,000 or $60,000 up to between $750,000 and $1 million. So a small department really can't afford new equipment. It has to find used equipment. Even our turnout gear costs have gone through the roof, and the heart monitors we use now cost $65,000 each. Wow. So to try to provide the services to our local community, it really is cost prohibitive in some departments.
Are you seeing more people even interested in it possibly, or?
Unfortunately not, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One is, again, there's just a drop in the local younger population. The age of the average department volunteer is about 55 years old. But people are working more jobs. Younger people are working 2 and 3 jobs. Many don't have insurance, and then we run a situation where we have both a couple in the house who may have children and both spouses are working, so they just don't have the time to commit.
Are there any other reasons why it's so difficult to recruit and keep volunteers?
In addition to those reasons, you would also have just the time commitments it takes. It used to be that you'd go for a 36-hour course and they'd say go be a firefighter. Now it takes 250 hours. So you're really looking for somebody who's willing to help the community and dedicate the time to do it, and there's just fewer people to attract to the service.
What does the training look like to become a volunteer firefighter?
For firefighting, it's you can start off still with a 36-hour volunteer course, and a lot of departments encourage their people to do that to get them through the door. And then after that, there's a second course or a transition course that's about 100 hours. And then if you're willing, you don't have to, but there's a course after 120 hours. And then the EMT class, if you want to do that, and some people just do EMS, and that's great. It's a couple hundred hours as well, and some ride time in an ambulance. But it all goes back to your community, and people have to understand, if your neighbors don't do it, if you're not willing to do it, there's not going to be anybody there to help you.
What does the need look like in our community?
It's critical. In the old days, you'd have hundreds of people willing to volunteer, or even on a career department where we have, it's your full-time job, there would be hundreds of people lining up to take that job. Now in some communities, they have a job opening and there's 2, 3, 10 people looking for that job. So it's hard to find people even on a career level as well as volunteer.
If there's someone out there watching now and thinking about becoming a volunteer, what message do you have to them, or what would you say?
Please consider it. It's one of the greatest jobs or volunteer jobs you're going to have ever, and the satisfaction you get from helping your local neighbors is just absolutely unbelievable.
All right, Chip Comstock, thank you so much once again for coming in.
Thanks for having me.